Hello and welcome to this new Blues Focus video where I've kind of been doing this off for a while because it seems as if transfer after transfer has been happening and I've not really known the perfect time to do it, but I've decided on today, Sunday morning, to make this transfer roundup video to discuss all the transfers that have been happening at Blues this week because there have been plentiful transfer activity as well as signings made, and it's really exciting times for Blues, isn't it? I think this transfer window is already going to show how much ambition the club has in terms of trying to go from the Championship straight into the Premier League. And our transfer activity so far indicates that we do mean business. And I'm going to take you through each transfer that's happened this week to sort of give my take on how I think it could work, possible complications, and also how I think it's going to work out for us in the long term as well. And yeah, I'd say the club is in such a healthy position on and off the pitch because during this transfer window, obviously, we've been making a few videos on Blues Focus, trying to keep you guys up to date with the transfer news that's been happening. And Tommy's done an excellent job with that. And now we can actually say that we've done some proper transfer business. So it's down to me to take you through it, as Tommy and Jack are in Portugal for the pre-season camp and Jamie's in Butlins for the weekend. So yeah, wishing both of them the best with their times away. And yeah, it's down to me now to take you through this transfer business. So without further ado, I will get started on Tuesday. And Tuesday was the transfer of James Beadle joining the club from Brighton and Hove Albion on a season-long loan deal. And this is one that was in the mill for a while, wasn't it? I think it was between him and Mark Travers, the two goalkeepers that I saw linked with Birmingham in the past. And now we have decided to go in on Beadle. And it was certainly impressive, wasn't he, during that under-21 European Championships campaign for England. And he had some stellar performances in goal. I think one of the things that caught my eye about Beadle, and what probably caught the eye in regards to the Birmingham recruitment team, is his distribution. And that is something that is imperative to the way we play, isn't it? Because we saw Ryan Allsop last season pull off some magnificent passes. Some of these, literally, he'd kick it right from his goal towards the opposition goal. And I can remember, the Wickham goal that Taylor Gardner-Hickman scored, where Allsop's just kicked it long and Gardner-Hickman's controlled it. And bang, he's gone and scored. So I think James Beadle is going to be really good for that distribution in terms of turning defence into attack very quickly with that pinpoint passing. And he's certainly one for the future, isn't he? Because he's 20 years old, 6'7", which is a beast of a man considering the age that he is. And yeah, he's going to provide some really good competition, I think, for Ryan Allsop. And I don't know who's going to go in goal for that first game against Ipswich. I think pre-season will be really telling in regards to who earns that number one shirt for Blues. But I think the whole thing that Chris Davis has tried to do within the squad, what he tried to do with Peacock Farrell last season, is have two number ones really fighting for that position. So two goalkeepers that could easily on their day go into the starting 11, really vying for that first spot. And I feel like James Beadle is going to provide some perfect competition. And I guess if Beadle doesn't get in the team and also remains in the team, then it's only a loan. So Beadle can then go back to Brighton at the end of the season and we don't really lose out on any money. So I feel like it's a really clever bit of business, and also someone that has a lot of potential as well. And if Beadle does well for Blues, then we'd look to sign him maybe permanently within the next transfer window, as that's something we'll look to do with our Wednesday transfer, which is Tommy Doyle, someone that has joined on a season-long loan from Wolves with an option to buy for around 10 million. I think that's the rumour that's going around, that we do have an option to buy with this Tommy Doyle contract within the clause. And I really like this transfer as well. I can see that Tommy Doyle is a player that is very good on the ball, 50 Premier League appearances, and I'd say he's a dead ball specialist as well. You look at some of the highlights of Tommy Doyle, especially during his time at Sheffield United, where he was very good from corners and also he scored a couple free kicks as well. So I really feel like for a while we've needed someone that can deliver a good ball into the box from a set piece, as I feel like we had a few issues with it last season, certainly from scoring from set pieces. I know we got a bit better towards the end of the season, but during the start and middle of the season, I feel like scoring from set pieces was a real problem for Blues, especially, when it comes to deep free kicks and also corners as well. So hopefully we can make our set pieces count, because I feel like in the Championship, obviously, we're not going to get things all our own way. So set pieces are going to matter more than ever. So having someone like Tommy Doyle that can take a good free kick, that can take a good corner, is going to be imperative to our success in the Championship. And he was part of the under-21 squad that won the 2023 Euros. And also he worked under Pep Guardiola at Man City. So someone with a very clear philosophy in terms of possession football. And that is something that we're going to look to replicate in the Championship, just as we did in League One, because you can see by all the possessional stats that we kind of dominated things in that regard. And I'm hopeful that we're going to do the same thing in the Championship. Maybe not to the degree that we did it in League One, because obviously the opposition is weaker in that league in comparison to the Championship. But I can certainly see us really trying to go for it in terms of not trying to change our style too much and have that 4-2-3-1 shape. Because again, something that I've seen a lot on social media is that with these new transfers, there's a lot of people that are making these fantasy 11s, which look fantastic, but I feel like they're changing the shape a little bit to try and fit everybody in the team. But I feel like our, strength really is our formation and the way that we play. So I'm hoping that we don't change the 4-2-3-1 and we remain in the same shape that we did for last season. And it just, now these transfers are all about making the competition for these places that much more crucial in order to really perform on the day. Because Tommy Doyle, I don't know if he gets in the starting 11 straight away, because Peike and Iwata were so good as the holding midfielders. And I think it's unclear so far as to whether Tommy Doyle can play as a number 10. But I feel like, again, pre-season is going to be such a big teller as to who's going to make the starting 11 and who's not. And Doyle will certainly get plenty of minutes within this pre-season camp, probably flying out to Portugal with the team, unlike, I suppose, last season, where I think if you can remember, there were so many academy players that went out on that pre-season tour to Austria. And it was a bit difficult for Chris Davis to know who was going to be in the team and out the team, because I remember there was quite a few players that travelled with the team to Austria last season that weren't part of the League One campaign. You Jordan James, Koji Miyoshi, Siriki Dembele, Tyler Roberts. I remember those guys were involved in the pre-season camp, but they're not really part of the season. But I feel like with this season, we've got a lot, clearer plans in terms of we don't have to offload as many players. So then we can bring in players knowing that they're going to play a part in the league campaign. So yeah, Tommy Doyle, fantastic transfer for me. And Thursday was the homecoming of Demarai Gray, coming from Al Ettifaq. 3-year contract, free transfer, and I believe that Al Ettifaq do have a pretty hefty sell-on clause. But for me, that doesn't really matter, because Demarai Gray is going to be back in a Birmingham City shirt for the first time in 9.5 years. And I'm thrilled with this transfer, obviously for the nostalgia of it, the fact that he was one of my favourite players growing up as a Blues fan. I was there for the hat-trick that he scored against Reading in that 6-1 victory at St Andrews. And he delivers, so much pace and promise and athleticism. And I feel like these aspects are things that we need in a player in terms of what we were missing maybe last season. I know it's tough to say that we were missing stuff when we got 111 points, but I think Blues fans can say with the injuries we got out wide last season, Emil Hansen, Scott Wright, Yokoyama, absent for that run-in of the season, we were missing maybe some options off the bench in regards to wingers. And I suppose the only real occasion where that showed was the Virtue Trophy final. But I feel like Demarai Gray is someone that can certainly deliver for us, especially at Championship level. I imagine there were Premier League teams that were in for his signature, but he's decided to join Birmingham, and his interview with the club that he gave upon his transfer was fantastic to watch, because you could see the passion in regards to the love that he still has for the club. He said he followed our fixtures when he was away, and now he really wants to make a difference, in his prime years, his peak years, returning to Birmingham, something that he said he wanted to do. I don't know if in his head he would have envisioned coming back at the age that he has, but what I would say is that, yeah, Championship defences are going to be scared of Demarai Gray, especially with the promise that he delivers in regards to winning the Premier League at Leicester City all those years ago, having a career that's had 200 appearances in the Premier League, also going out to Germany by Leverkusen. And yeah, I think Demarai Gray back in a Birmingham shirt is a big thumbs up from me in that regard. And I'm going to say the Friday transfer delivers on the wide aspect as well, with brighter Sai Samuel joining on a 3-year deal upon his contract expiry at Fenerbahce. And he's someone that was managed by Jose Mourinho at Fenerbahce, played in a variety of positions. He played as a right back, left back, winger, so very versatile in the amount of positions he can play, a Nigerian international as well. And if you remember in his QPR days, he scored a fantastic goal against Birmingham at St Andrews, I think just before the lockdown came in. If you want to look that up, look that one up and see that he dribbled it all the way from his own half to then scoring against us. And poor Maxime Collin was following the whole way, but just couldn't get near the guy. And he's someone that, again, for a Championship level player, I think very excited for. And I believe he's going to provide competition, not only in the wide areas in regards to the attack, but also the defence as well. And Ethan Laird may have a bit of competition next season, because Blues fans were saying about obviously Alphonse Samsted, someone that could compete at right back, Taylor Gardner-Hickman, and now adding Sai Samuel to the mix. I'm really excited for this one. And again, with Turkey interested in terms of Besiktas, I believe, wanted him after his contract expiry, so maybe some other clubs in Turkey, but he's chose to join Birmingham. And what I liked as well is that on the Blues social media sites, we saw that the Birmingham City Foundation donated some kits and shirts and whatnot to his foundation that he set up in Nigeria, Sai Samuel. So again, it's that connection of really giving back to those people that have put their trust in Birmingham, and that's a fantastic thing to see. I think for the image of the club and the reputation of the club growing and growing as well. And we go forward to the weekend, and last night's transfer is one that I believe to be the most exciting one of the transfer window so far for Blues, and that is Kyogo Furuhashi joining from Rennes. We don't know what the fee is, but we know, again, it's a 3-year contract, and there is so much excitement around this guy, I believe. And for someone that has scored 85 goals for Celtic, scored against some top opposition in Champions League football, I believe he scored against Atletico Madrid, Leipzig, Lazio, and a variety of different clubs, in Scotland. I mean, the Old Firm derby, he's got 8 goals in 11 games in that fixture. So he's certainly the man for the big occasion, the 30-year-old, and has represented Japan before, been Player of the Year in Scotland. And yeah, I put out a tweet actually when this transfer was announced that I said that I believe it's level with Jay Stansfield as the biggest transfer of the Knighthead era. And I think it's because, again, of growing the image of the club around the world. The transfer announcement, the video we posted of the signing of Kyogo, in an hour on Twitter, it got 500,000 views. And I believe at the moment it's on 1.5 million. The video I'm talking about and the picture announcement has got 1 million views. So it's that growing image of Birmingham around the globe. And I think we've seen before that we've dipped into that market, haven't we? Obviously with Tomoki Iwata joining them years ago, Paik Sung-ho, and it looks as if Fujimoto could be joining within the next day or two. But I suppose out of the signings that we've made from Asia, Kyogo is certainly the most exciting one because of his record that he has in Scotland, because of his reputation globally. And I think Man City were in for him last summer. So he's someone that, yeah, a lot of European clubs think of highly, and Blues have managed to land his signature. And for me, he goes straight into the starting 11. I think with all the other transfers that we've made this week, you could make cases for them not starting. But I think with Kyogo, for the money rumored that we signed him for, he has to go straight in the starting 11, and he has to go straight in that striker position, because I've listened to different podcasts speaking about the abilities of Kyogo, and they believe that his strongest position is right there as the number 9, fox in the box, poacher. So if we can start Kyogo up front and then maybe Jay Stansfield out wide, I believe that could work for us. And he's someone that could link up really well, I believe, with the players around us, playing that, quick, snappy football that's going to go from back to front pretty quickly, because I believe with, Damari Gray and Sai Samuel, their strengths lie in counter-attacking football, where they can pick up the ball from deep positions and really drive with it, and then hopefully give the ball in the final third to Kyogo, who can do the business up front for us. And I don't want to jinx it with Kyogo, but I believe in the Championship it's going to be guaranteed goals because of his attacking prowess. And I'd say double digits is probably going to be what he gets. What number he gets within 10 plus, I don't know. But nevertheless, going back to Birmingham for that final pre-season game against Nottingham Forest, that's going to be a real teller for where we're at. And then also that first game of the season under the lights, Friday night, Sky Sports against Ipswich, is going to be phenomenal too. So please leave your comments in the comment section down below in regards to what you think about the transfer window that we've had so far. I mean, by the time this video is out, we may have already signed Fujimoto, so please leave your comments down below as to what you think of the transfer business, as well as if we've signed Fujimoto. Tommy and Jack are out in Portugal at the moment, covering the pre-season training camp, so they're going to be watching the games over there, trying to get as much content as they can. So please stay around for that. And also, I believe we are only a few subscribers away from 6,000. So if we can hit that benchmark before the first pre-season game, that would be something that means a lot to us as content creators, because during this, I guess, break from the final game of the season right now until the pre-season games, it's been a bit difficult to make videos. So if you could, please like, comment, subscribe. That would do wonders for the channel. And there are exciting times ahead. Keep right on.